Hello, brothers and sisters of Lando. Welcome to my best common sense. I try to keep it down in 10 minutes. If it goes over 10 minutes, it's something very important. But everything I say is fucking important. Welcome, brothers and sisters of light and dark. Welcome to my page. If you don't know me by now, fly your little ass off the page and look at other videos of mine. Because there's a lot of things you need to know before you make a judgment call, okay? This is for entertainment purposes and comedy. But of course, you can take me seriously or you don't have to take me seriously at all. It's up to you, okay? Sensitive people, beware. Those people who are liberals, beware. People who are religious, beware, okay? Because I am not a part of your groups, okay? All right? Now, if you have any comments, suggestions, or insults, or questions, you put it down below. And now I will talk about my topic. And the topic for today is, okay, well, I have to make this video. Okay, a minute has passed now. I have to make this video because someone told me my white privilege has been, not uploaded. It didn't upload correctly or something like that. I also tried it on my phone and it didn't work. But then someone else told me it did, okay? But I'm going to make it again. This one's called White Privilege Part 2. If it is working, I'll keep it up there. If it's not working, then you'll understand everything in a nutshell in Part 2. Because the first one didn't go through, so I'm just going to go down the list again of what white privilege is, okay? I have white friends, and also hillbilly friends, and also racist friends. Ding, ding, ding. So it won't just come from my experience. It just won't come from my experience. It'll come from the people, white guys, the crackers that I know that says it. All right. Okay. The first thing about white privilege you must understand, it is a capitalization. The capitalists are the number one white privileged in the world. As it's been reported and researched, it is said that 70% of the world has been taken over by the white imperialist army, Roman, Greek / Empire, Queen Elizabeth. Okay, they have most of the money. We got that out of the way, right? We got that. They are in America. They have exterminated probably multiple races. So you won't even hear nothing about it. But I'm just putting it out there that racism exists pretty much everywhere, all across the world. And as I said before, the reason for racism could be for a few reasons, okay? The first reason is, as I said before in the past, the blacks sold their own people off to the European empires. And so that caused a dilemma amongst the white people that they didn't like that because they sold their own people. But also, whites also sold each other too as well. So from my research, I found out every race had their own race or another race in some sort of slavery, okay? But we're talking about recently here. We're still talking about blacks being slaves, okay? But I'm pretty sure that there's still some white slavery goes on in little pockets somewhere. Maybe so, but I highly doubt it. And because blacks are like a commodity, okay? Slavery's from the most recent times, 500 years, maybe less than that, okay? 200 years, most lately, it has happened in America since 1968. Martin Luther King died. Remember, 1968 is this recent. The apartheid in another country, South Africa. Think about that. Racism still exists. Slavery still exists. You may not be able to see it, but it does exist. So if you know the KKK still exists, okay, so you got that far out of the way. You understand that that's a portion of white America, white supremacy, white power, okay? The thing is that you don't have to respect it, or you can respect it in a twisted type of way. You could be a sadist, kind of like myself a little bit, okay? Sadists, okay? Twisted belief systems. I have twisted belief systems, but if you keep listening to me, you understand how twisted I am. Sometimes I believe in pandemonium in order to make things go round. This is an exciting life. This is a nightmarish world. Okay, so since you understand those facts out of the way, so forth. Okay, I have white friends, and well, as an example, white racism exists. It just happened to me recently. As I told you about my white Popeyes, I didn't tell you about the racist part that did it happen. He was Iranian or some shit, Pakistani, something like that. And then there was a guy next to me, and this guy's taller than me, with white, because I wear glasses when I go to work. Okay? And he said to all of us, do anyone knows computers? So he looked towards the white guy, because, white privilege, it seems to be more catering towards white men rather than white women over me. He looked over me because I'm short. I was right next to him. He didn't ask me. He didn't look at me at first, and he pointed at him like, "Do you know anything?" He pointed at him like, just because he's white. Okay, you see what I'm saying? See how the preconceived notion of assuming that a white man is more smarter than a black man, that is a very negative thing that's a form of racism. Okay. You know, if I look at everyone, I say, I'm not going to make no jumps assuming the cause. I will at least speak out about it and say that usually white people do know a bit more about computers, but that was completely kind of racist, that what he did. He pointed to him and said, do you know anything about computers? Before he even asked me. And I told him, hey, I know something about computers. And I created his flyers for him for the new Popeyes that opened up in Washington, PA. So, long story short, he was saying things to me that didn't make sense. Like, I was talking to I was talking to him, and basically he was talking to me, and he came to me and personally told me on the side, like, he told me to shut up, but he didn't tell him to shut up. Okay, so that was my boss. Okay, so I had every right to feel these negative vibes. I'm like, I didn't ask him why he did it. Okay, see, I don't do the asking why. He knows he's in the wrong. Okay, then he asked me, do you have a car? Okay, he asked him if he had a car. I said, I have a car. I told him I have a car. It seems like he's pointing towards this white cracker. He's taller than me. He's younger than me. But he assumed wrong. Okay, and he said, oh, you're a valuable asset. He was fake in his face. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, since I knew how to, I have my own car, and I knew how to use a computer, and I made the flowers and shit like that. And I also knew how the computer worked and shit like that. Even he made errors on the fucking computer. I didn't understand it. I think he was fucking testing me. Truthfully, I think he was testing me. But when it came down to it, it was about respect. And that's why I lost my job at the Popeyes. But if you want to go see the other details about it, you go look at that one, my Popeyes experience. But let me go down the list here before I run my mouth about that little bit of racism. Okay, the reason why we have racism is because either the blacks my digress, what I said before. Either because whites are angry at blacks because blacks sold off their own people, or either because they're jealous. Okay, I told you about this before. That's very important to understand. Jealousy and anger from the past, from something happened. Okay, jealousy is a form of color. Okay, and we're not affected by the sun as much. We don't get as much diseases. You know, if you're truly black, I'm talking about the darker side, the true Africans. Okay, who came into this country who were slaves, who the strong motherfucking niggas here. All right, you're here, okay? More athletic than most of the white crackers, the white fucking the cavemans and shit like that. And that's why they dominate sports and shit, in many other fields too, dancing and also partial singing, okay? So you got to understand that whites love blacks and blacks love whites, but there's always some stigma upon the past. And so since I told you about my experiences in the past about the first one, I have a friend named Chuck, okay? And basically I tested the theory out, and I was like, okay, my credentials is higher than Chuck's, okay? So I made up an application, but then I realized they called him first, okay? And I put my application in, and they called him very quickly. So you are in America, you know right there, when you get a job, no matter if you have credentials or not, they will look at that color. As a matter of fact, it's another reason how white privilege exists too. When you check the box, don't check any boxes. Are you white, black? Those boxes are necessary. That's old. There's no need to be asking about if you're white or black, because you're not truly black or white. No one's truly white or black anymore. I don't even check that box. Okay, and that's another how you can tell racism this exists. Okay, I told you about my experience with racism. Okay, on the job, my most recent job, it actually happened. Did I tell you about the courts? I got in trouble with this girl. I look at my rape story. Okay, and I called the police. I'm the one who called the police. And long story short, this lawyer, a well-known lawyer, which I'm not going to say, okay, told me, okay, do you know you're in Pennsylvania, okay, right? And I said, what they got to do with anything? The case is easy. There's no sex involved. There's no DNA. He said, yeah, but you got a problem. Okay, you have no money and okay, you're black. He told me this. And it stuck and resonated in my head. And this happened in 2007, okay? Okay, it happened in 2007. He said, come back to me after all of this is died down for so long, because they were definitely in the wrong by charging me, which cost me a lot of problems, but they blessed me at the same time. The charge actually cost me to get blessed, but it's okay. But remember, if you ever hear someone saying what white privilege, if a white person says, what white privilege do I have, okay, as a white man, if you ever hear that, okay, that's an easy solution. It's all on who you know, because you could just be poor white trash. Now, I'm not saying every white cracker out there is fucking racist. That's impossible. No one can say that. But in Kansas, I'll actually put down the video of the description of where I got it from, okay, where this woman says that every white person is racist. That's impossible. They can't be. Okay, but if that is, that's not a good sign of more karma dharma for the people who are thinking like that. If it's true that every white person is racist and they don't like black people, okay, or any colored person, Chinese, it doesn't matter, Latino or mixed, that's karma dharma for your asses. In your next life, you'll be fucking screwed. So you might as well get rid of that racism. Now, everyone can have a little bit of racism. I don't like these stereotypical types of people and so forth for good reasons. I say for good reasons. Okay, like, I don't like a lot of blacks who are living in the hoods and shit, and who are loud and shit like that. That's obvious stuff. But that doesn't make me racist. I just don't like the group of people. It could be whites or blacks. I don't like juvenile type individuals, okay? That's not racism. That's logical. But there are people, when I say racism, that's a predominantly white thing. Because I believe that white people came from another world and invaded this world. And that's a long story, which I'm not going to get into. And as this world was multicolored and multiverse with multiple different races and stuff like that, they came and dominated and controlled it by force. Okay, you keep saying Mars attacks. Mars has something to do with Mars. If you turn the M upside down, you got war. Okay, the god of war. Okay, mythology. A lot of Greeks and Romans and shit like that, they are powerful individuals who feel that if you're not of their blood, they can do whatever they want. They use psychology. If you look at Abraham Lincoln, he was with the Republic. You can see that he monetized. He didn't want the slavery anymore. So he used money as a weapon so he can put people in cattle boxes. So you are on a certain level, okay, civilly. So if you are black, you're most likely to get the most least respect, especially back during those days, back in the 1814s and 1892s and some shit. You know, during those days, they didn't give a fuck about blacks. Yeah, it's a fucking fact. But other than that, what else is there to say? Like, a lot of whites have preconceived notions, concepts, okay, of what blacks are when they see a black face, because they haven't seen too many of them, or they haven't experienced a lot of blacks in their lives. So they will actually make these thoughts up in their head without asking questions. So I said, he looks black. He looks like a thug-ass nigga, a thuggish-ass nigga, because he had a tattoo. But they don't know him from a can of paint, so they'll get scared. I remember I told you about this shit. Now, I'm not saying all whites are like this, but majority of them will think, like, okay, if you look like this, you got strong bone, you got strong color, they said you ain't to be fucked with because you got an attitude. Now, when I was at my job, I didn't have an attitude. I kept quiet and I did everything professionally well. He said it himself. But at the same time, he doesn't like me deep down inside. As I told you before, it's a form of a mental brainwashed, okay, and also the prejudice, okay, racist, okay. Even Pakistanis and foreigners can be racist as fuck. It can be. It happened to my wife. My wife was overseas. The white man asked her, I said, "Is your husband white?" Because I didn't check the box that says if it's white or black. Yeah, I didn't check the box if your husband is white or black. I didn't check that shit. If they ask that question, you know there's some sort of white privilege. And as I said before, the media only portrays only a portion of what white privilege is. They're not going to explain it fully or what's going on. Hillary Clinton tried to talk about it a little bit, but that was very unwise on her move because this country is run mostly, the United States of America is mostly run by whites. There's more whites than blacks, okay? Okay? Dick Gregory talks well about racism in America. It's very well hidden, okay? And, okay, Obama was just a puppet, okay? Okay, so you got him out of the way. There ain't no solution to anything when Obama was in office. Okay, because he couldn't do shit. All right, let's see. And you got to be careful if you're black, you got to stay out of white people's way, especially depends on where you're at. You could get set up. It's called the setup. Okay, now I know there's a few guys that's in jail and they got set up by whites because they're trying to keep the numbers down because blacks multiply like fucking rabbits. It's a fucking fact too. Okay, so the whites don't want that. They get afraid of that shit. If you go overseas, especially in Far East countries, they're very envious and fucking jealous of their beauty. They won't even put, as a matter of fact, I just read an article on a woman who was she was a model, right? Okay, in one of these overseas magazines. I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure I read it, and I'm not making it up. And what happened is that they cut out her long, beautiful hair. Oh, and I was like, I seen her original. I was like, what? Why did they do that? Why would they do that? Why would they cut out her long, beautiful hair? Because it's too attractive. I told you this. It's even an Asian and Blasian babies. Those Asian women haven't seen too many blacks. They're very attractive. As a matter of fact, I did some research on black men over in other countries. They are treated slightly different from everyone else. All right. Okay, so racism still exists. A lot of people over in foreign lands haven't seen them because they either get captured. They're like they're a dying out breed. Blacks are a dying out breed in white countries. If they see a black person, they'll either try to kidnap them, rape them, or kill them. So you got to be careful. That's why I told some of my friends, my associates, says you be careful. You go into a white country because they never seen a black person before. You imagine what they'll do to you if you try. It doesn't matter if you're quiet or not, or you're noisy or whatever. I seen one video where this black man went overseas, I think somewhere in the Far East, in Asia somewhere, and he took off his shirt. No, all them skinny old fucking Asian, Philippine type females. I don't remember what country it was. Could never compare. They never seen anything like that. They was looking like they'd never seen a black person before. He was recording it. He was recording himself, and everybody looking at him like they never saw a black person. I was like, that. But how is that race? How is that linked to white privilege? How you say that's linked to white privilege? Easy. Because they've almost been exterminated. Every time there's black people growing number in certain sections of the world, they exterminate them. They find them first and get rid of them. Or you got Hitler talking about they're the lowest common denominator or some shit. Now, don't get me wrong, some statistics about intellectual prowess is correct, okay? But you got to understand, it still exists. Kansas, Mississippi, okay, Georgia. These areas are kind of dangerous for blacks, okay? But there's still some blacks that live there. All right? Okay, so the solutions to it is basically, where I believe the solutions to it all. Let's see, is there anything else? If you say you don't see white privilege, and you don't have a family member who's rich already, and it didn't pass down to generation to generation to generation, then you already know, okay, what white privilege is. It's mainly about money and jealousy first. These two things is very fundamental and very important to understand. The reasons, that's the core reasons why we have racism. Okay? Or it could be his anger. One of those three. Maybe they're angry because their ancestors sold them away. Maybe because they're jealous of how beautiful they are. Okay? They don't have to be smart. It's just how beautiful they are. Okay? You already know statistically there's only 13% of them, 6% of women who are banged up by multiple men. Black women are loved in America. Okay? It's a fucking fact. Okay? Okay, now there's far more white women who take advantage of everything because there's far more white women. Okay, well, what else is there to say? Okay, let me shut the fuck up. Somebody told me to shut the fuck up, so I say shut the fuck up to you too, bitch. I'm like, okay, now what could the solutions be? Anybody got any solutions to it? I believe blacks can get their own selves out of it. That's the best way, but then it may be pulled down again by the white capitalist. Or you want to call them Zionists, Jewish Zionists, the Caucasoids, the Rothschilds. If they don't want them making the money, it's not going to happen. If blacks want to fix their own communities and shit like that, and whites want to come in and pull it down, they did it before. So whenever blacks try to build up, they pull it down. Okay, when blacks try to buy some property to do something with themselves, the white man will pull it down. Try it. Okay, and then it has to be reported and documented now. Now, the last thing I heard about the last racist thing I heard in Pennsylvania was a white man trying to buy the casino. A black man bought the casino. Actually, his bids was already been done. Everything is completed, and a bunch of white people just came in and overbid him and took his shit. I don't know if he got his money back or not, but racism still exists. White privilege still exists. Okay, sometimes when I go into office or somewhere, and they looking at me because I'm black, okay, I can feel the energy of some negative cognitions, perceptions, perspectives of me without them even talking to me. I can feel it. Okay, so white privilege does exist. What also exists is black privilege too as well. So let's not think of this white privilege here now. There's Asian privilege, there's Jewish privilege. And if you want to know about where these other privileges are, just ask me, okay? Because when you don't ask questions, you know I'm talking the truth. If you disagree, then you're a fool because you got to ask me the question why you disagree. What is the purpose? I can give you the information, but you don't want the information because you haven't done the research yourself. Peace and love to you, brothers and sisters of light and dark. Welcome to my page. There's a lot of fucking videos where people have been, racism has been spewed against them. I've been called nigger when I was playing volleyball. I was playing volleyball one day in the fucking white part down here. Somebody said nigger. So racism still exists, right? Now, I'm pretty sure it may happen multiple places in this country, but it does exist. It does exist. Peace.